everyone, welcome back to Dees Nerds. I'm Michelle.
I'm Chris.
And today we're going to be reviewing the new movie Enola Holmes. Alright, so we've been excited about this movie since we saw the first previews for it because we are big fans of anything Sherlock Holmes and we liked this was going to be a new twist. So since that time, we've been looking forward to it, and when it finally came on Netflix, we were happy to watch it. So if you don't know anything about Enola Holmes, basically the plot is that Enola Holmes is the younger sister of Sherlock and Mycroft. We'll get to him later. But anyway, Enola is at home with her mom. She's been raised by her mom. Her brothers haven't been around a whole lot, especially since she was little. And her mom has taught her all these amazing things, made sure that she was very intelligent, but definitely did not give her traditional upbringing. And then one day her mom up and disappears. And so Enola contacts her brothers to get them to come home and help her figure out what happened to mom. So in the course of all of that, of course, Enola ends up on her own adventure looking for her own mother, and chaos ensues.
I think that's the main thing that we look at, and kind of looking at this film a little bit deeper, we'll kind of try to stay spoiler free here because, the movie's just out and everything. But kind of looking at it, I feel like this movie the plot's pretty simple. So, it's not going to blow you away. But what really does sell this is, I think, the performances by the actors. And, there's just some powerhouse actors and actresses here really giving some good performances. And, and to me, that makes the movie. And that's what makes the movie really enjoyable. If we just look down, starting off, you've got to start with Millie Bobby Brown. She is, I would say she's a star in the making. She's already a star. She's absolutely phenomenal in this. Of course, she's in Stranger Things. She was in the Godzilla King of the Monsters, which we both loved. But she is just amazing in this. She can absolutely carry a movie by herself. And you got to think about the talent that she's up against. She's up against Henry Cavill and Sam Claflin and Helena Bonham Carter. And for her to still just absolutely own this film completely just really is a testament to her talent. And, like I said, there's very much a coming of age part of this, and there's also like a very hardcore, gritty kind of action part of it, and she handles both of them just flawlessly.
Yeah, she's supposed to be a teenager in this, so she's, I think it was 16?
Yeah, something like that.
And so you kind of don't expect her to be as tough as she is, but that, again, was kind of the upbringing that her mom, played by Helena Bonham Carter, gave her. But she's also still very teenager-esque in some ways. And one of the things I absolutely loved about this movie that I think Millie Bobby Brown did really well was talking to the camera, breaking the fourth wall. She spends a lot of time monologuing to the camera and explaining to you what she's doing or what's going on or things about her past or her family. And she's very endearing. I think that's the word I would use for it. She's very endearing.
Absolutely.
And I think that worked really well because I think that part of that Holmes factor that we get with a lot of Sherlock stuff is kind of getting to see inside his head and see how he thinks, which, as you pointed out, we saw in the Guy Ritchie movies, right?
Yeah, with Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, to me it was kind of a play off of what they did in those films, where Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Sherlock Holmes isn't really talking to the camera, but he's narrating how that scene is going to play out. Like, say if he's going to get into a fight with somebody, he's clearly like anticipating what's going to happen, and you hear that narration as he goes through. To me, it works the same with Enola speaking to the fourth wall, in that you're trying to get inside of their heads and see how they're thinking and what they're thinking in that moment. And I think it's done rather beautifully.
Yes, and it does a lot for, I think, her solving the cases that she's working on as well, because she sort of ends up, while she's also looking for her mom, in the middle of something else on top of it. So I think that her thinking those things out, since she doesn't have a partner for the majority of the movie, really. We have Lord Tewkesbury, is it right?
Yeah.
And he's in a good bit of it, but he's not, I wouldn't call him necessarily her partner. He's just kind of along for the ride.
Absolutely. And like I said, she absolutely owns this film. I can't wait to see what she does next, because like I said, she already at this age, I can know what her actual age is, 16, 17, something like that. She can already do action. She's clearly a fantastic actress. So, she's got it down. It's going to be really fun watching her career develop and see what she does next.
And I think it's really impressive that she can be on the screen by herself and be as captivating as she is.
Absolutely. So. And just kind of moving on to like some other performances that we both really loved. Henry Cavill. of course, I adore him as Superman. I think he is absolutely phenomenal as Superman. I really hope that they bring him back, not just in other appearances in other DC movies, but in actual Superman, like a Man of Steel 2 or something like that. But I mean, every time I see him on the screen, I love the movie and I love his performance in it. This is no different.
And he's the prettiest Sherlock Holmes I've ever seen.
Absolutely. I think he does, because I mean, Sherlock Holmes is kind of like Batman or Spider-Man too. There's been so many performances and versions. I mean, not. I mean, just think in the modern day, there's two really good versions. You got Robert Downey Jr. and you got Benedict Cumberbatch, and not to mention like one of my favorites from the classic era, kind of the 40s and the 50s, Basil Rathbone. I mean, and just a ton of other versions, but yet he's still able to create a really compelling and different version from anything we've seen today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the estate of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle has complained and sued the film, actually, sued Netflix for the film because they believed that Henry Cavill's, well, not really Henry Cavill's, but they believed that the portrayal of Sherlock in those movies, which was done by Henry Cavill, was too emotional. So that's a story we're going to be following. We think it's nuts, but
I don't really know what you're thinking, because I'm glad that DC doesn't look at that with Batman. Adam West created a comedic version of Batman. That can't exist. Like, that's just dumb as far as I'm concerned. Henry Cavill gives an amazing performance here. He's very endearing as Sherlock, but I mean, he is also the smartest person in the room, which I believe Sherlock Holmes should be. He walks in the room, he's the smartest guy in the room, but he's able to. He does have a bit more of an emotionality to it, just more of not necessarily outpouring. Like, it's not like he's outwardly that way, but you can really tell that he really, really does care about Enola.
Yeah, you can definitely feel his connection to his family, and again, particularly Enola. But I think that's not necessarily where you normally see him.
Yeah,
is with other family members aside from his brother sometimes in other iterations.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I mean, I would love to see more. I hope they do a sequel to this just so we can see more of not only Millie Bobby Brown as Enola, but definitely Henry Cavill as Sherlock.
And I guess we want to see more of Sam Claflin as Mycroft. I don't know. He was great in the role, but
he was
man,
fantastic.
You hate him.
Yeah, I can't think of a character I have disliked more since Umbridge in Harry Potter. I mean, like, he's on the screen and you just want to choke him out. I mean, he is such a jerk, especially to Enola. I mean, he treats her like a piece of property.
Yeah, and he's very self-important and more concerned with how she's going to affect his image than anything actually benefiting her.
Yeah. So. Yeah, he's a complete jerk. But I mean, Sam Claflin again proves what an amazing actor he is. Because I mean, as lovable and likable as he was as Finnick Odair in the Hunger Games movies, I mean, he is so dislikable in this one. And another one we got to give a shout out to is Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, first of all,
of course, she's amazing.
She's a legend. She's amazing, and everything she does is just perfect. But I mean, she does such an amazing job, I thought, of creating this performance where, clearly she cares about her daughter. She loves her daughter. She gives her a very unorthodox childhood, I guess is the way to say. But I mean, the whole goal is to create someone who is very independent and can take care of herself and doesn't need anyone else. And I thought she did a great job with that.
She did. And the interesting thing is her part in the movie is quite subtle. I think she's not, because she's supposed to be missing for most of the movie. Mm-hmm. Most of what we see of her is Enola's memories of her as she's thinking about things that she's been through with her mom. Mm-hmm. So I think for the limited amount of time she got on screen, I think it was a very powerful performance.
And I really thought that, like I said, we won't go into too spoiler for you, but and I think the ending scene between them, kind of towards the end of the movie, is really, really touching. But and once again, I mean, she's just amazing. So one thing we wanted to address as well, because I've seen it in a number of reviews, is kind of talking about the messaging behind this film, and specifically some criticisms toward it being too much of the messaging being, about female empowerment or wokeness or whatever they call it nowadays. I see it. I mean, there is definitely a very, very strong feminist bent to this film. It's very much about female empowerment. I do not feel like it is too heavy-handed in that messaging, and I don't have a problem with that messaging at all. I love that we have movies like this and movies like, The Hunger Games or Wonder Woman that show strong female characters that can kick butt and take names and be the hero, and they don't need the man to come in and save them. I love that, like, my daughter can have the opportunity to watch this stuff growing up, and like Charlotte actually watched this film with us and she loved it actually. So I love that this message exists in this film, and I don't think it's too heavy-handed at all.
No, I don't either. And I think that it's an integral part of that time period,
Yeah.
the things that they were going through. And they also, I mean, it's really not just this side thing that they're throwing in your face. It's actually kind of an integral part of the story, the way that it's written.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, and I think you can't really talk about that time period properly or have a girl like Enola Holmes even exist in that film without touching on it somewhere, because she is certainly not your traditional woman of the time period.
Absolutely, and I feel like it carries the message in an effective way, very similar to what you would see in a lot of science fiction, especially back in like the 60s and 70s, all like Star Trek, where there is a message there. There's definitely a political message, but it's all woven into the story, and it's not, to me, it's on the back burner a little bit, and they're just trying to get you the message without trying to be too heavy-handed with it, which I think like the best stories like Star Trek really do a good job of.
This is overall a super fun film. It is totally family friendly, so don't feel shy about watching it with your kids if you've got them. And our daughter is 3 and loved it, so it's infinitely watchable. I think that's our term, right?
Yeah, that's the word. I think that's becoming the new catchphrase for the channel, is infinitely watchable. But yeah, once again, highly recommend this film, especially if you have daughters and you want to show them a really powerful female character that can definitely stand on her own 2 feet. Absolutely recommend this one, and like I said, hit Netflix and watch it.
We're so glad you joined us today. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from us, hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to get notifications whenever we post a new video. If you want more in between, you can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Dees Nerds. We hope to see you soon. Have a great, safe rest of the day.
Bye.